Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the next presentation. We continue with Technotrans, and I'm glad to introduce Michael Finger, CEO of Technotrans, who will guide us through this presentation, which will last approximately 20 minutes. We will have time for Q&A afterwards, but as always, you know the housekeeping points. The meeting will be recorded. All participants are in listen-only modus. And in order to ask your question, please use the chat box on the bottom right. And given that we only have a limited time, I'd like to hand over to you, Mr. Finger. The floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Wiesler, and welcome to Technotrans, to our presentation this morning. So who is Technotrans and where is it all about? So we are the global partner for thermal management. I will tell you something a little bit more about thermal management in the next 20 minutes. But first of all, who is Technotrans and what are we doing? We are in the market since 1970 and public since 98 with 17 locations around the globe. So we are very close to our customers in every region, and we have 8 production locations, which is quite important in times like this with tax and tariffs that we are present in the US, in China, and in Europe. We are doing this with 1,500 employees around the globe, and most importantly, we are partnering with growth markets, with markets like energy management, healthcare analytics, plastics, and print, which is mainly driven by packaging and digital printing. But before we go into the future, let's have a short look back to understand a little bit the history and the background of Technotrans and where are we coming from and where we want to go in the next couple of years. So if you look back to the first part of our history, the recent one, Technotrans was a pure print company until 2010. Then we were heavily faced with the economic crisis and the downturn of our business, also driven by digitalization. The print business was under pressure with the increase of digitalization, and we saw that we are heavily depending on this single market, and we were very close to collapse. We started in the next phase to get rid of this dependency. We identified areas where our technology is useful for, and to get rid of this dependency, we started with our buy and build approach, bought several companies in that period of time, like Thermotech in 2011, which gave us the entry in the medical market, with KLH in 2013, where we could enter the laser market. GWK and Reisner, they both have opened us plastics as another market area. And with that, we could grow our business and also our margin back to a decent level. And in 2020, we were in 15 different markets active, just driven by the dependency of print. We have spread it out into those 15 areas, which was obviously also a little bit too much. And in 2020, when we saw that we were faced with another downturn in revenue and in margins, we have started developing our strategy Future Ready 2025. This strategy was about getting stabilization and also integrating our companies which we have acquired in the phase before into our group. We also have managed in that phase all those acquisitions independently, and with our new strategy, we have strengthened our key brand Technotrans, and we have also brought all the other brand names into this brand. We have fully integrated all of our companies, and we have reduced the broad spread from 15 markets into 5 markets, because if you are too broad, you are not able to be focused on the real growth areas. and we have set up a criteria catalog. What are the key markets for us for the future? Where are we based already quite strong? How are the markets growing in the future? And are we able to grow faster in those market areas? And finally, we have identified 5 key areas where we want to be in, which was for sure print as our legacy business, plastics, healthcare analytics, energy management, and laser. And we heavily focus on those key areas. And the growth, which you could see coming from 190 million in 2020, we could develop in just 4 years up to 260 million euros, and that within times like COVID and supply chain problems, wars, etc. And that is quite impressive if we look back to our last growth phases, which were mainly driven by acquisition. So organic growth was key for the last 5 years because of focusing on our key market areas, which were all driven by mega trends like digitalization, electrification, or decarbonization. And thermal management, we have also identified as a key technology. I will introduce this a little bit later in the next slide. And we also have focused on volume production, which was different than in the phase before. There, the complete focus was in getting rid of the dependency, and we were very broad and just served small businesses. In that phase of the last 5 years, we are heavily focused on trends, growth trends, and volume production to be able to scale business based on building blocks and efficiency. So all in all, that brought us into a very good position. We have now, after 5 years, restructured our business completely. We have integrated all the acquisitions before. We are now one technology company, which is mainly focusing on thermal management, and now we are able to face the next level of growth, which we will introduce also later this year in our Capital Markets Day, where we will introduce our strategy for the next 5 years until 2030. Coming to our technology, I just mentioned it: electrification, digitalization, and decarbonization. Those are the mega trends you are all familiar with, and you can only solve the big problems of our time if you put technology inside. And if you use technology, heat is associated with it. And if you are faced with heat in technical processes, this is not in favor for the overall process. You need a thermal management process to get control over this unexpected heat. And this is our core business, and this is where Technotrans is all about. So this is more or less a business model of Technotrans. And what's different from the competition is the broad range we are offering. We are offering a cooling capacity from 0.1 kilowatt to 5 megawatts, a temperature range from -80 to +430, and a control accuracy of 0.1 Kelvin up to 0.01 Kelvin. This is quite precise and helps us serving really very, very complicated and concrete processes in the semiconductor, in the healthcare, in the data center business area, and in the areas I'm presenting in the next slide. As you see, we are since a long time global market leader in print business. Offset, flexo, and digital print are the main applications in these areas, but packaging print is dominating the business since COVID-19. Packaging print was the technology, the winner of the COVID pandemic, and has more or less offset the downturn of the classical print business, which we saw in the years before. In plastics, you can imagine the typical injection molding process is faced with many temperatures from the beginning to melt the granulate down to a fluid until cooling it up to get the the new form out of the form. You need the complete range of thermal management, and we are offering on top of that process cooling to be a complete turnkey supplier for plastics industry. Healthcare analytics, the same. You only can get precise results if you have stable temperatures, and we are offering for lab and medtech applications for MRI systems, X-rays, CT systems, a concrete and precise thermal management system, which is a key to the success of the overall system. Energy management, I will give you some more examples on the next slides, but it is down to e-mobility, battery thermal management systems for rail, for road, and for special applications. High power charging infrastructure we are in since years, and of course liquid cooling solutions for data center, one of the most rising markets in our time at the moment. And laser, last but not least, laser also needs precise thermal management, especially for semiconductor production. It is very critical to have a very precise laser, and there you need exactly this accuracy I've showed you before in the slide with the accuracy point. 0.1 Kelvin is necessary to have a precise laser to mark all the lineups on the microchip. Overall, we are split into technology and service business. 75% of our business is down to engineering and production. 25% is down to repair, maintenance, and technical documentations. But Technotrans is established, and also the name is established out of two words of technology and transformations. If you take the first two halves of each word, you see where Technotrans is coming from, and this is the DNA of Technotrans. We transform our technology into applications, into new business in attractive growth markets. And one of the key attractive growth markets, as I said before, is liquid cooling for data centers. Growth drivers, as you know, is AI, digitalization, electrification, increasing process performance, and we have already solutions. We have already developed solutions for this, like our CDUs, our coolant distribution units for new data centers, RPUs, reservoir pump units as a retrofit product for existing data centers. We are in this business since more than 10 years with air cooling for data centers, which has opened it up, by the way, for us. And on top of that, we can also serve cooling plants for room climate within data centers. So we are offering the full program of cooling to these data centers, and we have been already quite successful. We have won series orders at the framework agreement end of last year. We have started our production, we have ramped it up, and we have increased our capacity recently, and we are very, very close to win the next big order, which we may publish very soon. So all in all, a success story, as we are in this business since 3 years, where nobody has talked about liquid cooling. This has turned into more visibility when the Microsoft CEO has announced that there is no cooling rack within the Microsoft world, which is in the future not cooled with liquids. That was completely different a year before, and at that time we have already served first samples, as we have anticipated this trend when we have supplied our customers with air cooling. And this shows how Technotrans is working. This shows that we are anticipating future needs within existing businesses. We can anticipate the trends, we can offer solutions, and in this case we could offer a solution based on liquid cooling, and now we are able to look back into field experience since 3 years, and this is helping us to understand the quick changing specifications every single day. So we are ready for taking the growth in the future, and I'm sure we will publish a lot of more news in the upcoming months. Next one, which is also a very interesting and exciting business for us, is battery thermal management systems for rail, road, and off-road. You can see the products on the right-hand side, but the main growth drivers are the same. It's all about electrification, decarbonization, and future mobility. And the battery thermal management systems, they are for constant temperature profiles, for long-term service lives, and they mainly facilitate recuperation processes. In that recuperation processes, a high power density comes into the cable and into the battery, and this must be covered by a stable temperature management system. And this is mainly mainly introduced in railway and also in electro buses and mining trucks. And as we are dominating the European market since 4 years, we are European market leader for battery thermal management systems for the railway, and we are just stepping up to get into the same position for electro buses, as we have won quite high volume contracts which we have published recently. So also this is a strong growing market, as electrification is key for rail and road, and we have a quite decent position. But there is more to serve and to offer from Technotrans. As I said, medical technology and analytical devices are growth drivers for this year and beyond. Packaging, label, digital printing for the printing industry. I've touched before, energy efficiency and alternative refrigerants for plastics will drive and influence the future, and also semiconductors for lasers. Without temperature control systems, all of these applications will not work. And of course, sustainability is also very important for us. Energy efficiency is a part of all of our programs and products. Most of our products can are more than 30% more efficient in terms of energy consumptions, because we are cooling direct to the points and not 24/7. And this saves at least 30% of energy compared to standard chillers. And that is quite important in times like this. And of course, we have successful past ESG ratings like ET Finance or EcoVadis, just to give you a feeling where we are on this one. To keep in time how we have started into this year. So we had a good start into the first quarter, into the first half of this year. Revenue could grow by 5% compared to last year. EBIT even doubled from 3.5% to 7%, and ROCE could also step up from 11% to 15%, which is in line with our expectations. And this is also a strong signal that all of the homework which I've shared with you at the beginning, the restructuring, the integration of all companies, the synergy effects we could gather around out of all those sub programs, this is reflecting into our figures and will help us also being even more profitable in our growth path for the future. And finally, our guidance for this year, our forecast for this year is in a range of 245 to 265 million euro in terms of revenue. 7 to 9% is the expected EBIT margin, and ROCE between 13 and 16%. This was confirmed in our last call, and we are on track since now. And yeah, with that, I can just summarize why should you invest in Technotrans? Because we are in leading thermal management growth markets. We have an international footprint, which is important for us. we are financially stable and we have a financial strength. We are focusing on sustainability. We are growing on a profitable base, and we have finally an attractive dividend policy. 50% of our annual results we are paying out to our shareholders. And yeah, as you want to learn more about Technotrans, where in what direction we are going to the next 5 years. As you could see, Future Ready 2025 will end in 25 by end of this year. Then we have successfully passed our goals for the last strategy phase. In on October the 8th, we will present on a capital market day here at our headquarters in Sassenberg, our strategy 2030. And yeah, for those who haven't dialed in already, you are welcome to join our Capital Markets Day in October too. And with that, I would say thank you for listening, and I'm very happy to take your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Finger. We are more or less in time, as we have agreed, 20 minutes. And we're also happy to distribute the link to your Capital Markets Day if you want on October the 8th. In the meantime, we have received quite a lot of questions. It seems to be that transformation and growth are the key drivers in talking about Technotrans. And the first question is all about a big topic everyone is talking about, data center. Could you please explain to what level could you scale up the data center business in a time frame of 2 to 3 years? There are many huge competitors. What is your advantage over or disadvantage in this market? And is a divestment possible if someone bids a crazy price for this part?
Yeah, good question. And yeah, a lot of sub questions, to be honest. We can spend another hour on this one, but to keep it short, in all our biddings where we are quoting for big programs, we need to demonstrate that we are able to scale and that we are able to face the strong growth path if it comes to hyperscaler or to enterprise solutions, where we are faced with really strong volume increases. We have bought a piece of land next to our headquarter where we are now starting building up a factory for the anticipated growth. We have HR concepts in place to hire people at short notice, blue collar people, white collar people, which are necessary for a strong ramp up. At the moment, you need to reflect that all of the big data center providers or OEMs are working on pre-studies, and these volumes we are all serving, our competition, everyone. And once those pre-studies are done, we are expecting a strong increase in volumes. Nobody knows exactly when this inflation point will be, but we are ready to scale. We are ready to scale up from scratch at the moment. We have doubled our facility recently. We can double and double and double again until we are moving into our new factory, and we have really concrete plans to be ready for this growth. But as I said before, nobody knows exactly when we are faced with those strong growth rates. At the moment, the rates are able to we are able to deal with on an existing base. And as I said, we have plans for everything. For the future and for the time being, we want to do it by ourselves. That was also a question. Is it also up for divestment? At the moment, we want to do it by ourselves as we see a strong potential, a very good potential to bring Technotrans to another level with this new business. And yeah, we are prepared for this to give a final answer on that one.
Thank you very much. That's a very sophisticated answer. Let's move on to the energy segment. There's a question which says that the segment achieved quite big growth numbers recently. Can you elaborate on demand drivers in battery thermal management systems and future opportunities in this business area?
Yeah, so battery thermal management systems, especially for rail and road or off-road applications, are mainly driven by emissions. So emissions and energy savings. If you look to electric buses, no big city wants to have emissions in the cities. They all want to deal with green energy, and it only works if the local traffic is electrified. And we are participating from this. Same then in the railway industry. Every train, every rolling stock has a battery inside for recuperation of the braking energy, which is directly stored into the batteries. As I said in the presentation, high energy density is going through the cable into the battery, and you may know that from your electric vehicle if you have experience with that. If there is too much energy inside or temperature differences, you are losing efficiency, and also lifetime is at risk. And those are key drivers for us to have stable temperature environments because of those key drivers from the outside. And we are just at the beginning. If you look on the streets into all big cities of the world, there is a process which has kicked off. The cities are getting more greener and cleaner, and this is, of course, a starting point, and we are just in the first third of the race, and we are in a very good position on that one.
Perfect. Thank you very much. There's just a quick follow-up question on the cooling market for data centers. Can you maybe mention some of your competitors in this area?
We will not share that information.
Okay.
We will not disclose competition. This is a very sensitive market, and you can make your own exercises, but we will not share.
Okay, but can you give us a feeling? Is it more like big competitors, or is it a fragmented market?
It's a quite fragmented market. There are just a couple of companies who are able to deal with those thermal management solutions, and it's down to key integrators where we are dealing with. The big integrator companies called one-stop shop solutions, they are offering the cooling power, the infrastructure, cable, power consumption and solutions, the racks, etc., and more. And we are supplying our CDU, our liquid cooling system, to one of those integrators who are then dealing with the very big hyperscaler companies in the world. So it's a very fragmented market, and yeah, we are part of it on the second level.
Perfect. Thanks for sharing these insights. We have been talking about growth quite a bit. Now let's move on to your earnings. Technotrans doubled its EBIT margins to 7% in H1 2025. What specific operational or strategic initiatives drove this efficiency gain, and how sustainable are these improvements for the rest of the year?
Yes, first of all, we have started an efficiency program called Technotrans Sprint, TT Sprint, last year. We have kicked it off in July, and we've successfully ended it in December last year. We could successfully close it in all our sub-programs. The first results we could see in Q4 already last year, and the full year effect we see in this year, which shows that the efforts are turning into results. How successful and sustainable is it for the future? Yeah, so as we are still confirming our guidance, we are on track, and we can see, if you look a little bit deeper inside, that we have a strong increase in our margin in technology. Our volume production is now also turning into profit, and it's not all down to service business, which was mainly driven our margin before, and we are on a very good path to grow this level even further for the future. So we are on a very positive way.
Perfect. I think these are good ending words for your presentation. It's 11:30. Mr. Finger, thank you very much for your presentation. Very interesting. I would be glad if the participants would fill in the feedback form which we have sent around earlier on. You will also find a link to the next meeting, which will be a circus. Hopefully you find it interesting. And again, Mr. Finger, thank you very much for your participation.
It was my pleasure. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening.